Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Wait Times, the channel dedicated to all things data and Disney. My name is Jason, and I will be your number guide today for our first park-by-park wait time analysis. Seeing as this is the first video on this channel, there is no better place to start than with the most famous, recognizable theme park in the world, the Magic Kingdom. According to the 2023 AECOM Theme Park Report Index, the Magic Kingdom saw over 17 million guests in 2023, putting it far beyond Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or any of the other parks in Central Florida. While 50 plus years of magic and memory making certainly drives the Magic Kingdom's popularity, to me, one of the biggest things is just the sheer amount of rides that you can ride on any given day at the Magic Kingdom. To put it into perspective, here are the number of rides between the Disney and Universal theme parks in Central Florida. You can see coming in at number 2 is Islands of Adventure at 18 and Universal Studios at 14, with Epcot at 12. Now here's the Magic Kingdom, 26. That's 8 more than Islands of Adventure and far more than any other Disney park in Central Florida. And in just a second, you'll see exactly what that does to a park's wait times. But before we get to that, I do have to mention that the primary data source for this video is a website called thrilldata.com. Now, thrilldata.com is an unbelievable website. You can get all sorts of data, such as live wait times, you can get park hours, you can get things like the weather in Central Florida, you can get data on Lightning Lane, Premier Passes, and you don't need to know how to manipulate the data or use any of it yourself. They have custom graphs already on the website, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. Once again, that is thrilldata.com. Thank you guys so much for this data. Alright, let's get down to business. The first thing that I want to look at is the average wait time for each of the 4 theme parks at Walt Disney World. Now this is data from 2023 to 2025, and as you can see, Magic Kingdom has the lowest average wait time among all of their rides at 26.6 minutes, with Animal Kingdom coming in last at 37.8 minutes. Now if we go back to the number of rides at each park and add in the average wait time for all of those rides, we can see on this graph, look at all the blue dots that represent Magic Kingdom rides. You can see so many of them are underneath that average wait time across all 4 theme parks at Walt Disney World. That's what's really driving the low average wait time across all rides at Magic Kingdom. The other thing I wanted to look at across all 4 parks was the average wait time during peak hours. Now my definition of peak hours is 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you look at it through that window, you can see the Magic Kingdom still sits in first place at 29 minutes, while the rest of the 3 theme parks hover around 40 minutes. Now, instead of focusing on every ride in the Magic Kingdom, I want to look at the 5 rides that average the highest wait times in the park. For each ride, we will dive into the numbers and see what we can find, and of course, we will look at when might be the best times to ride these rides. Before we get started, pause the video and comment down below which rides do you think averaged the highest wait times in the Magic Kingdom, and of course, you get bonus points for the correct order. Coming in with the 5th highest average wait time in the Magic Kingdom is Space Mountain, located in Tomorrowland. To start off, here's a general overview of the numbers. You can see Space Mountain's average wait time since 2023 has been around 46 minutes. The median wait time has been 45 minutes, and the highest average wait time I have recorded is 330 minutes. Now that was set back in 2023 in July, and that's actually the highest wait time I have for any ride in my data set. Something I found interesting was when Space Mountain goes down, which in this case is just the time in between recorded wait times that I have for any given day. It actually has the highest average downtime in the park, and you can see Tiana's Bayou Adventure comes in at 2nd, with Big Thunder coming in at 3rd. So if you happen to see that it is down, or maybe you're in line and you get that dreaded delay announcement, you might be in for a little bit of a wait and you might want to consider change of plans. So when would be the best time to ride Space Mountain? Well, we can look at the average time for a specific time of day and plot ourselves a little line to see how the ride trends throughout the day. Now that dashed line that says average wait time is Space Mountain's specific average wait time. That means anything above that line is an above average time for that ride. And as you can see, it starts at about 10 a.m., takes a little bit of a dip, and then by 10:30 a.m. is when you're going to get those above average times. So if you don't knock out the ride in the beginning of the day, you might have to wait until 7:50, 8 o'clock to really get back to those below average times. Overall, a 45 to 50 minute wait in a queue entirely indoors for a ride like Space Mountain, that's not bad at all in my opinion, especially on a hot Florida day. It certainly isn't as bad as some of the other rides on this top 5 list. Coming in at number 4 on our top 5 list is Peter Pan's Flight, one of the classic dark rides found in Fantasyland. Looking at the numbers, we can see the average and median wait time is just under an hour at 55 minutes, with the max wait time I have recorded at 160 minutes. Now, if you're like me, you might think to yourself, that feels a little low, as it seems like every time you look at the wait time for Peter Pan's Flight, it's high. But if you look at the graph, you can see the wait times are really low in the beginning of the day. And then right when you get to about 10:40 is when you get into that above average window. And that's not going to drop until 7:45 p.m. Compared to Space Mountain's peak window start time at 10 a.m., you have a little bit more time from the opening of the park to make your way over to this ride. Coming in at number 3 on our list is our second coaster of the day, and that is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Fantasyland. Looking at our numbers, we can see Seven Dwarfs is our first ride with an average wait time over an hour. It sits at 67 minutes, median wait time 65 minutes with a max wait time of 210 minutes. Speaking of that hour wait mark, we can see during peak hours, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has the highest rate of time over that 1 hour mark at 80% of the time. Coming in at number 2 is Tron Light Cycle Run. Finally, at number 3, we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So, when it is that peak hour, we can see Seven Dwarfs Mine Train really does not get under that hour mark, so plan accordingly. Looking at our peak window, we can see that after 9 a.m. is when it first gets over that 60-minute mark. But the peak window doesn't hit until 10 a.m. and lasts all the way till 7:15 p.m. Knowing that it gets over an hour quickly and stays over that hour mark for a good portion of the day, this looks to be the ride that you would rope drop if you were planning on getting into the park early in the morning. Coming in at number 2 on our list is the newest addition to the Magic Kingdom, Tiana's Bayou Adventure over in Frontierland. Reimagined from Splash Mountain, this is one of my favorite attractions in the park. Looking at the average time, we see it as a bit over 68 minutes, while the median sits at 60 minutes. When the median is less than the average, like it is in this case, that means that there are massive numbers that are pulling the average higher. I'm talking times closer to that max wait time of 260 minutes. I should note that while Tiana's was on a virtual queue system until February of 2025, we do have data from back in 2024. When we look at the average by time of day, we can see the line doesn't actually take a dive at the end of the day. Only 2 rides have this similar trajectory, and the other we'll be taking a look at in a second. So, instead of a window, we only have one cross point from the average, and that's at 2 p.m. That makes sense, as Tiana's is a ride that many want to ride at night. So, if you are fine with potentially getting drenched in the morning, that might be the best time for you. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot for the highest average wait time, you probably guessed it, Tron Light Cycle Run, the second newest ride in the Magic Kingdom, which you can find over in Tomorrowland. Similar to Tiana's, we have data from before it was taken off the virtual queue system in February, and the numbers are staggering. Average wait time 87 minutes, median wait time 80 minutes, max wait time 270 minutes. That is insane. Once you get done waiting all that time, you only get about a minute of ride time. That 1 minute ride duration is tied with the Barnstormer for the shortest ride in the Magic Kingdom. When you plot ride duration with average wait time, you can see it can be a lot of waiting for a short ride. 4 of the 5 highest wait times are below the park average in terms of ride duration, with the exception of Tiana's. While it is way more intense than the Barnstormer, you still want to minimize your wait time for something this short, so let's see when the best time is to ride it. As I mentioned during Tiana's, Tron has a similar upward trajectory where we don't have an end to the peak window. Per my data, that window starts at around 3:40 p.m., which is later than any window opening out of our 5 big rides. Similar to Tiana's, this ride is massively popular at night, so if you don't mind getting blasted with sunlight on the launch, the morning to mid-afternoon might be the best for you. You will most likely have to wait a little bit for Tron, but if you can get it under that 87-minute average, I would consider that a win. To further illustrate the nighttime popularity, this is the wait time before 7 p.m. 75 minutes, which is lower than the total average of 87 minutes. Look how high it jumps after 7 p.m. 140 minutes. That just goes to show that this is massively popular at night, and that's when everyone wants to ride. Now that we've seen each of the 5 big rides' peak windows, let's do a recap to see what they look like stacked next to each other. As you can see, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain both have peak windows that start the earliest, followed by Peter Pan's Flight and Tiana's, with Tron starting at the latest. Knowing what we know about Seven Dwarfs holding an hour plus wait the longest, I would think about getting to Seven Dwarfs first, followed by Space Mountain. If you want to continue the thrill route, you could bypass Peter Pan's Flight and go to Tron, but if Peter Pan's Flight is high on your list, then make sure to get there before at least 11 a.m. That does it for the top 5 rides, but before we head out, I wanted to look at which weeks of the year have been the slowest wait times for the Magic Kingdom. The way I constructed the weeks was simply counting from 1 to 7 and making that one specific week group. As you can see from the table, the first couple weeks of September have been the slowest in terms of average wait time. This makes sense as local Floridians are heading back to school. In terms of the busiest weeks, we can see Christmas week plus the first week of the year with the highest average wait times. We can also see a little bit of February and March, which can be the start of President's Day week or even the start of some early spring breaks. Now this is what the same table looks like, but just for our big 5 rides. We can see that the middle of September, November, and December have some of the slowest average wait times. I believe this is due to some of those Halloween and Christmas party days where the Magic Kingdom closes early, which drives some people away as they don't want to pay a full day but have to leave at like 4 p.m. Looking at some of the busiest weeks, we see Christmas and New Year's week remain, but we also see that the middle of July to the start of August are weeks that remain really busy for our big 5 rides. So, if you are planning a end of summer trip at the end of July, I think this is something that you'll have to look out for, plan accordingly, and prepare to wait in some lines. That is going to do it for our Magic Kingdom park analysis. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me. This is my first ever YouTube video, so I really appreciate you giving this a chance. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel. I plan on making more of these for each of the Walt Disney World theme parks and potentially other parks in Central Florida. I have a ton of ideas already in the queue, so if you want to go on this number journey with me, subscribing is 100% free. If you have any comments on what you want to see in these videos, please let me know. If not, comment down below what is your favorite ride at Magic Kingdom. Whether it's one of the big rides, something small, something unique to you, I want to know what is your absolute favorite ride at Magic Kingdom. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.